In this video I'm going to go through how to add a case study to your group. Now, a lot of the concepts are common to most content types, but case studies do happen to be just a little bit different from most of the other content types in that they have a few slightly different characteristics and fields. So again, I'll go back to our group already logged in with appropriate permissions, and I'll click on the shortcut to add a case study, and I'll see our case study edit form. So working through these fields one by one, a case study must have a title like all other content types. We call that the heading, but again it creates the URL just like a title does. We do strongly recommend you also give your case study a description, because this will be displayed on the end result. You also need to provide a reference number. Now, the logic and reasoning behind these numbers is not something I'll go into in this case. You do need to work out what appropriate numbering sequence you need for your case studies. Next, you can add an optional logo. Now, if you don't add a logo to your case study, then it will automatically acquire the logo of your group. So there's no real need to do so if you do already have a group logo uploaded onto your site. But you might need to, for some reason, have a unique logo on your case study. So this gives you an option to do so. Again, you can override the group name if you want, but this is optional and you don't have to do that. Then you've got 3 boxes for content. These each really should take a paragraph or 2 of content, and the amount of text that you can fit on these is going to depend a little bit on the size of your page and how you lay it out. The more text you put into any one of these 3 fields, the less room you'll have for the others. So it will take a little bit of trial and error, and I'll show you how to test and check that while you're going. But generally, a couple of paragraphs to each of these sections will be what you need. The next thing to enter is key facts. These are individual facts, 1 per line, and so generally I would recommend that they're about a sentence or so at most per line. You then choose a tagline. There's a number to choose from, and this will depend on the type of case study that you've created. And there's also an optional learnings field. Now, this is not displayed on the case study itself. It is just something that you can add for your own information into the case study. And then this can be then displayed on the front part of the page, but not actually on the download as well. Now, we can upload up to 2 images onto the case study, and we need to be very careful with the sizing of these images. Every image that is uploaded is always scaled to 800 pixels wide. Really, you can either upload 1 tall image or you can upload 2 landscape images. Let me give you an example of that. I'll upload 2 landscape images, each of which are about 800 pixels wide and around 650 pixels high. And you can add up to 4 partner logos. So I'll just add 1 logo into here at the moment, just as an example. And finally, you can choose a template. You can set it with the text on the right or the text on the left, and I'll show you what those look like, and also a color scheme. So I'll save the information that I've created at the moment, and it's about time that we then take a preview look at this and see how it's going. Okay, so now I've saved that initial information, I can take a quick look at this. So this is what I'd call our web preview of the case study. So when you look at it through a web browser, this is our information presented back as a web page. You can see the images that I've uploaded, and as you can see, I've got 2 moderately wide and not too tall images fitting reasonably well, and our partner logos. Now the purpose of the case studies is actually to create a printable PDF document, single page PDF document. So we want to just make sure that this fits perfectly on our page. So the next thing to do is take a look at the print preview and just see how our document is starting to look. So I click on that print preview. It does take a moment or two to generate the PDF. It actually has to do quite a bit of work creating the printable format. And now that comes back with a little preview tool. I can see how my PDF is laid out. I can now see that I've got my title and descriptions, how my logo is uploaded. I can see how my individual pieces of text fit, and they obviously fit reasonably well on the page. There's a bit of extra room left, so I could have added additional content to any one of these 3 paragraphs. And again, I can see how my 2 images fit above the key facts, and they fit quite well with a little bit of room to spare. So those images are 800 pixels wide and 650 pixels high. Now it's important to note that it's the ratio of those 2 dimensions that matters, not the absolute value of the dimensions. In other words, any image that you upload must be generally about 4/3 wider than it is tall, and if you do that, then 2 of them should fit well. I'll go back and give you an example of a single tall image as well, and a slightly different template. So let's say we want to go back and try to edit this again. I can go back to my edit link over here, which will take me back to the edit view of my case study. Now let's try a few different things. I'm thinking that I will use a different image. So I'm actually going to remove the bottom image, and I'm going to replace the top image, this time with a tall image. So I'll pick another image, this time one that is taller than it is wide. And I'll also perhaps change the color scheme as well, and then save that update. So now we can see that I've got one tall image instead of 2 wider images, and we'll see how this lays out. So now, as you can see, completely different color, and also one single large tall image fits quite well. Again, 800 pixels wide, but in this case 1200 or so pixels high. Probably room for just a few more pixels. But again, it's very important that if you're putting a tall image in, then you should only put one tall image in. If you want 2 images, they're going to have to be wider than they are tall. So that's our new layout for our new PDF, and if we're happy with this. Now finally, before we finish off, there's just a couple more properties we must make sure that we don't forget. Under categorization, we still need to make sure that we select our keywords so that we can categorize our case study and improve searches. And now that I've saved that, similar to the publishing that we do for all other content, but in this particular case we submit for endorsement. We can either do that here, or we can actually do that through this blue button that's provided for us. So when we submit this for endorsement, it will no longer be editable by us anymore. There we are. So now this has been submitted. Okay, now because I'm an admin user, I can see the options to endorse and retract, but most group users wouldn't see those options. This content is now waiting for endorsement. When it's finally endorsed, it will then become available on the primary listings on the website. Okay. So back to our points again. The logos to be uploaded at the bottom of the PDF generally need to be square if possible, about 300 pixels in size. The images that you put on the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the page should optionally either be one tall image or two wide images, and again the standard JPEG, PNG, GIF formats. And finally, don't forget to submit your case study for endorsement. Thanks.